Solve the World, Episode 3, Hitchhiking. Meet Johnny Paxwell, 54, brusque, blonde hair, red beard. He slips into our narrative for just a moment and vanishes just as quickly. His story is long and sad. He could use some help, but we have no time for such meanderings here. Jenn will meet him too briefly for us to invest much in the lonely soul. Rather, our person of interest on this humid evening is Dolores Burden. She's only 34, yet her body betrays her. She'd be lucky to pass for 45 at a bar. Her dirty hair is thinning at the most visible spots, while sideburns somehow keep creeping further down her jawline. Her compulsive eating of late is serving her no favor as well. 2 years ago, she would have been considered moderately underweight, particularly for a truck driver. But now she's hefty, even for someone who spends all the hours of the day sitting, shifting gears. Dolores, or Doll as she prefers to go by, tends to be oft-putting because she has a hard time finishing sentences. She's often interrupted midstream due to the impatience of her audience. Becoming aware of this personal problem, Doll Burden's taken to speaking very rapidly so as to not allow for gaps in her monologues. This never works. Inevitably, she stumbles over her own sentences or parades faster with her tongue than her brain can go. It's annoying, even to her. Overall, we need only to know this. Doll is growing tired. Not physically so, but the deep tiredness that comes from deep inside. Soul tiredness, some would say. She's vaguely aware of this cancer of internal weariness. She's doing all she can to keep her internal fire alive. She's looking for a way to escape from it. She's trying to trick it into a death trap. She's desperate to live again, to enjoy life, to be filled, to have meaning. Jennifer Dash, belly and head full in equal measure, thought walking a perfectly delightful event to come after such a fulfilling meal. She strolled down the road, pondering leviathans and then many myths the world had to offer her. She calmly admired the trees growing wild, with adventurous limbs twisting and turning this way and that, each limb offering a possible story, a possible answer to another yet unknown mystery. Jennifer Dash was in philosophical Valhalla. But the sun was drifting underneath the horizon. Bird songs were giving way to the nocturnal chants of frogs. The fading of the light brought with it a washing realization to Jenn. She had nowhere to sleep tonight. She had no change of clothes. She had no more money to exchange for goods and services. Why did she feel the need to tip the boy for the fast food? That sure was short-sighted. Jennifer had a plan, but it was a distant, generalized plan. It gave no priority to the needs of the present tense. She was headed for the sea, perhaps the Pacific. Or the Atlantic. Jenn wasn't too sure about which ocean called her name. Some rogue wave called for her. That's all that mattered. Except for tonight. Tonight mattered. She was nowhere near the sea. Leviathan was not to be hunted tonight. Surely you're street smart enough to solve this riddle, old girl, Jenn thought to herself. You're in a tight spot, but you'll find a way out. A thumb. Ha! Jenn had seen it used in some distant movie or TV show. Hitchhiking. That's the ticket. Jem's thumb poked out. She smiled and for good measure, childishly waved with her non-thumb-bearing hand at the passers-by who chose not to pick up the young lady. Unfortunately, this specific road was not well traversed, especially after hours. A group of boys, most likely Jen's age, slowed down to maybe 5 miles an hour or so, but they were just looky-loos. Eventually, just past dusk, a truck driver pulled over. Jenn hopped in and vigorously shook Johnny Paxwell's hand, eager to show thankfulness to her kind transporter. The two exchanged pleasantries and promptly assumed silence. Johnny slowly got back up to speed before he was able to sneak a glance at Jen's face. Hey, wait a second. How old are you anyway? Johnny asked gruffly. 17. Shh! Johnny slammed on the brakes, veered to the side, and leaned over Jen's body to reach her passenger door, which remained just an inch or two out of his reach. What's wrong? What are you doing? Just get out, would you? Jenn opened her door, took her seatbelt off, and turned to ask, Why? I don't understand. Go. I can't be seen with you. Jenn took him at his word. As soon as she was out, Johnny bustled away down the road into darkness ahead. Jenn was alone. It got dark, really dark, and humid. Jenn walked in silence with her thumb stuck in its outstretched position. She walked well over an hour with only 3 or so cars that passed to show for it. She hoped that soon enough she'd get to a town and maybe find a bench to sleep on. Enter Doll Burden. Another 18-wheeler, Jenn was more nervous this time. Perhaps there was some rule about truck drivers not being allowed to take underage hop-ons. Note: the state law reads as follows from the Louisiana Revised Statutes 32:218. No person shall stand on a public roadway for the purpose of soliciting a ride, employment, or business from the occupant of any vehicle. First was the smell. The reek of bourbon and uncleanliness wafted off of Dolores. Dolores Burden at your... Jenn outstretched her hand, waiting for the driver to finish her sentence. You know, they just call me doll, like a toy, like a toy doll. Hi, Miss Burden. I'm Jenn. Just doll. Call me doll. What's... Vacant eyes.